Good evening, and welcome to round three, yes, three, of the Classic Cinema Challenge brought to you by the Boston Science Fiction Film Festival, which is February 10th through the 15th, coming up in this year. I am joined, my name is Garen Daly, I'm the festival director and moderator. I am joined by the illustrious crew that we had the last time, Carol Murphy and Jay Michaels. Carol, why don't you let people know what's going on and a little bit about yourself in case they didn't see you the last time?
Sure. Thanks so much for having me. And hello, everyone who's watching. My name's Carol Murphy. I am the executive director of Boston Fig, and I'm really excited for the Classic Cinema Challenge Part 3, where we are going to be discussing 3 of the worst sci-fi films and our picks for which one you should vote for the final round.
And Jay?
I'm Jay Michaels. I'm a director, producer, and promotional manager, and by January I'm going to be running a channel. Channel I, the independent theater and film channel, will be live, and we'll be running new independent films. We will be doing televised Zoom and live readings and performances of off-Broadway plays. We're basically the Netflix of independent theater and film.
Cool. So, folks, what we are going to do for the next half hour is we are going to take 3 films, as Carol just mentioned, and talk about how bad they are and why they're bad, or maybe they're not as bad as we think they are. And the 3 films are Leonard Part 6, which many people haven't even heard of, Batman and Robin, and Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. Now, Leonard Part 6 stars that great American TV star. What's his name again? I forgot. I think he's in prison now. Help me out here. What's his name again? Oh, Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby, who's now persona non grata across the world. But back in the 1980s, when this film came out, his ego and his show were the top things at Hollywood talked about. His TV show, The Bill Cosby Show. And during his off time, he made Leonard Part 6. Why is what we're going to talk about. So, Carol, why don't you start off? What did you think of Leonard Part 6 and your most recent screening of it?
This was like a new level of bad. I did not know that a movie that was trying to be funny could be so drastically unfunny. It was like the main villain is a vegetarian for some reason. Like, vegetarians are like these all-powerful people who want to like hurt. I don't know. It was all the jokes just don't land. The movie's slow. The pacing's awful. Like, there's so much about this movie that's just really, really bad. Like, not even so bad that it's good again. It cannot make the way all the way back around to being funny ever. It's just not funny.
Jay, what do you think? Do you agree with that assessment?
I'm having trouble hearing you, but I think if we're talking about Leonard Part 6, yes?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Leonard Part 6 tried very hard and failed. Oh my God, did it fail? I think they were trying the same thing. I have to do a little history on this. There was a TV series. There were 2 TV series in the 60s that Patrick McGoohan did. One was called The Prisoner, but before that there was one called Secret Agent. And what he did as a super secret agent and secret agent, he then did a sequel where he became the prisoner, and he resigned mysteriously from being a secret agent and went into this surreal place called The Village. And it was a brilliant series, and it was this commentary about the 60s and Vietnam and so many other things. I get the feeling that Leonard Part 6 was exactly that. Bill Cosby, let's just leave it at that. Bill Cosby did a series called I Spy. in the 60s. And so he was this secret agent. And I get the feeling this is their secret homage to The Prisoner by here he is mysteriously resigning and now running a restaurant, and all these surreal things happened. But they failed. They were stupid. They were crass. They were insulting. What they do to vegans, what they do to animals in this, what they try to do in humor. If this was a TV show, if this was some funny little TV show, it might work beautifully, because then you could be episodic. And that whole horrible plot about he and his daughter and her marrying this older man may have been funny as an episode in the series, but as this hideous movie with magical meat that stops the vegetarians and all of that, it's like I think they tried to be really funny and really satirical and do this I Spy into the village sort of thing, like Secret Agent into the village, and they failed.
Well, let's take a look at some footage from this wonderful film, and when we come out of it, we'll pick it up again.
He is the star of the highest-rated series in television history. The winner of 4 1987 People's Choice Awards, including Favorite All-Time Male Entertainer. The best-selling comedian of all time on records.
You don't mean yes.
He's got America in the palm of his hand.
All right.
And now you've got him on video cassette.
But I have nothing to wear.
Your average tale of your not-so-average super spy.
Kill him!
Adventure so cool, you can taste it. America's living room legend, Bill Cosby.
How'd you get on this tape?
In Leonard Part 6, on video cassette, only from RCA Columbia Pictures Home Video.
So what else is new?
Well, what else is new is that this film was a huge bomb, both commercially and critically. And I actually pulled a quote out from the director, this guy named Paul Whelan, who was a guy that worked on Mr. Bean and a couple of other great TV series. This is what he said about the film when it came out, or afterwards. It was a terrible mistake. When anyone gets into that position that Bill Cosby's position of power in the 80s was, they are surrounded by sycophants and no one tells them the truth. But Cosby wasn't funny. I couldn't tell him directly he wasn't funny. And he'd say, you worry about the construction, I'll worry about the funny. Obviously, this is a huge vanity project gone south. What do you think?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. It's just bad. And one of the things that I was shocked by was that there are live animals. For every animal actor in this is a live animal, and that cannot be legal by today's standards. There's just no way that that's okay. It's strange. Like, what was the budget for this movie? It was something like...
It was, I've got that number here. It was $24 million in 1987 dollars.
Yeah.
Wow.
And here's it grossed 4.6 million. Now, when you hear of film grosses, you got to literally cut it in half. And that's the amount of money that went back to the studio, because the exhibitor, the theater, keeps half. So it brought back $2.3 million. And you know, the one thing that that kind of bugs me about this is Cosby got paid, and he was a huge part of that budget, and everybody else just took it on the chin. I mean, he was able to come back, you know, artistically, but everyone else just got smacked by this film.
Yeah, it feels like an attempt at surreal humor that just goes completely into the trash bin. It doesn't make any sense. The plot is not good, and also there's just this, from a meta perspective, there's the entire plot line where Bill Cosby has, like, you know, potentially cheated on his wife, and that was a little on the nose.
Oh, ridiculous. Oh, and then his daughter wants to marry the 66-year-old director who wants to put her nude on stage. Oh my God!
Yeah, that was like, oh.
You know, I get the idea that it's Garen. That remark you made was brilliant. I'll worry about the funny. I have a feeling Bill Cosby was feeling his oats and said, "I'm the best thing anywhere. So I'm just going to come in, do my lines, and then sit in my dressing room." And so I don't think even he realized how bad it was, because he, on many talk shows, said he disavowed this movie. So
Oh, yeah.
I have a feeling he didn't even care about it until he sat there in the editing room and said, "Oh, wait a minute, whoa, that's awful." I think he thought it was funny.
But one piece that did happen was once he realized how bad this film was, he became the first person ever to accept a Razzie in person. And he had the studio make him a gold Razzie for all three that he got, and he brought them on the stage on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson and said, "I swept it.
Right,
I swept it." Anyways, so if you are looking to vote on this, by all means, you can see our scroll there. It's at surveymonkey.com/r, and I can't remember that. We're going to have to get some sort of easier thing to do because I wouldn't remember that one. All right, so if you hated Leonard Part 6, please go to our Survey Monkey and vote on it. Our next film is Batman and Robin, part of the canon of the films. It was the fourth one in the series, and let's take a look at a little bit of that footage.
My name is Freeze. Learn it well, for it's the chilling sound of your doom.
This is the way the world could end.
Please, show some mercy.
With ice. With a kiss.
With venom. I probably should have mentioned this. I'm poison. Poison ivy.
And the only man who can stop them.
Hi, Freeze. I'm Batman.
Can't do it alone.
Batman will watch his beloved Gotham perish.
Bundle up, boys. There's a storm coming.
Kill the heroes!
It's a hockey team from hell.
Whole party.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
All right, everyone, chill.
George Clooney.
Julie, I'm not the marrying kind.
I know you've had your wild nights.
Good night. Wild doesn't quite cover it.
Chris O'Donnell.
I want a car. Chicks dig the car. This is why Superman works alone.
Uma Thurman.
So many people to kill, so little time.
Alicia Silverstone.
And you are?
Batgirl.
That's not awfully PC. What about that person?
Found the Batcave.
She knows who we are. Guess we just have to kill her. Yep.
In a Joel Schumacher film. Strength and courage.
Partners.
Honor.
Partners.
And loyalty.
Partners.
It all comes together.
We're going to need a bigger cave.
Batman and Robin.
Wow. That's a case where the trailer showed too much and we didn't care. So, Jay, why don't you kick off with this one? Tell us what you thought of Batman and Robin.
Okay. Now I'm a comic book geek from way back. And so for me, this was the worst of the three. I say this because for a lot of reasons. The main one is it broke the whole franchise. We started with this amazing Tim Burton Dark Knight sort of Batman, and we go to basically the continuation of the Adam West TV series. Complete with ice skates on their shoes and terrible puns out of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I'm sorry, the butt shots and the nipple shots and all of that. It was all very silly. But and it's just as bad as Leonard Part 6 as far as I'm concerned. But they did one terrible thing. They ignored the legend. They ignored the mythology of Batman. This is an iconic character, and to suddenly decide that Batgirl is actually the niece of Alfred and not the daughter of Commissioner Gordon. To decide these particular changes in history, you're basically turning to your audience and saying, we don't care what you think of this legend. We're going to do it our way. And also the big thing was part of the reason you see so many gadgets, part of the reason you see so many costumes, the fact that Batman, Robin, and Batgirl have 3 different costumes. The fact that at one point she even has a helmet that she takes off after one scene. They were only doing it to get merchandising. Their goal was when this movie was over, everyone would buy the Mr. Freeze doll, the Batman costume, the plastic Batmobile. What you're looking at here is a massive commercial. And I'm sorry, if you want to destroy a movie, go destroy a movie. That's what Leonard Part 6 was. But if you want to destroy a legend, you're going to be called the worst.
Carol, what do you think?
I actually completely agree with Jay. So I also am a big comic book nerd fan. And not only do they destroy a lot of Batman canon, but there are 3 villains in this film. And Bane is a side character to Poison Ivy, which first of all is just like insulting to Bane as a character. It makes no sense whatsoever. And it just, like, there's too many plot lines. It's too much complication. Uma Thurman cannot save this movie, although she tries her damnedest. Like, she is brilliant and lovely in every, like, possible way. And she's, like, bringing the camp to an 11. So she's, like, obviously knows what the filmmaker's going for. But this would have been hilarious as a stage production if it knew that it was a comedy.
Yeah.
But as a film, it's bad. It's really bad.
You know, in some ways, and I don't know if you've seen this, right? I think the Nerdist had an article not too long ago, and a couple of other of these websites have been re-examining Batman and Robin and coming up with a slightly different, revised version of it. That it's not that bad, but it's just the ultimate expression of the '60s Batman with too much Hollywood. Is there any validity to that at all?
I think so. I think that there's so it's clearly going for that 60s camp aesthetic, but I feel like it misses the mark a little bit because it is trying to blend a lot of the 90s aesthetic with the 60s aesthetic, and it's not doing either one justice, really. I think it's okay that they are trying to kind of reinvigorate that aesthetic, but I don't think it does it very well. And I think where it falls apart is the characters. Because in the 60s version of Batman, you have a lot of time to kind of like spend with the characters, get to know the characters. You understand the camp aesthetic for what it is. In this, like, we don't have any exposition. We just open with shots on their armor. And the film assumes that you know these characters and are already invested in them. There's about 2 minutes of screen time for both Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson on screen at all. Like, we don't know who they are as people and as characters. And the film just assumes that you already care about them. And I think that's a really bad assumption.
It is a bad assumption. I think that's one of the reasons why it doesn't make it. But let's move on to our last film. But
it's
again,
also pornographic, I got to tell you.
It's pornographic?
It's totally pornographic. If you listen to Poison Ivy's lines, now this is where I thought it sounded like the 60s, because Julie Newmar always meow. Oh, that's perfect. You got the sexiness out of that, and all the villains were kinky. Frank Gorshin, I think, won an Emmy for playing the Riddler. But oh my God, she talks about snowballs. She enters, and all these scantily clad guys are around her. It's a porn film.
She auctions herself off for $500,000.
There you go.
Wow.
There you go. I think what Joel Schumacher...
I'm not sure that it's a porn film. I would call it fetishistic because there are so many other elements that are in there that are fetishistic. I mean, you know, right. The Art Nouveau stuff, the nipples, the butt armor, all of that stuff. You know, but yeah.
Oh, then Alicia Silverstone shows up and throws some second wave feminism at her, and like apparently all is well again. And it's like, no, that's called slut shaming. That's also not cool.
Well, again, I think we were talking in pre-production. I remember when this was in production, and one of the big things was talking about how fat she was, and she was being fat shamed in the trades all the time, and it had to be really difficult for her to be so assailed by the trades in the middle of the production. It was terrible. It really was. Let's go to let's remind our viewers that they can go vote on our Survey Monkey. You'll see the Survey Monkey Earl right there. And let's go to our last film, appropriately for the Christmas season, and it's Santa Claus Conquers the Martians with
Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. Santa sets up a fantastic automatic toy factory on Mars. The Martian leader battles the wicked Vodar in a desperate effort to save Santa, the wise man of Mars. 900 years old. The Battle of the Toys, when Martian kids and Earth kids join Santa to battle the bad guys of Mars. For real space-age fun, you'll be out of this world when Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
Obviously, we pulled that clip from the Capitol Theater. I'm not sure which Capitol Theater, but we did. First of all, the director of this film is a guy by the name of Nicholas
Direction you can go.
who actually had a fairly good career doing a lot of TV shows like In Search of with Leonard Nimoy. He also did some Waltons, Mannix. So he's a competent director. But as we know, Mystery Science 3000 took this and turned it into one of the worst films ever. And the question I have for our panel is it one of the worst films ever? Kara?
I don't think it's fair to call this one of the worst films ever. It's a kid's movie, and it has a plot that a 7-year-old can follow, and it's pretty cute along those lines. And it's also, it's very low budget, obviously. The face paint on the Martians is pretty ridiculous. Their costumes are pretty ridiculous. But I think that's all kind of like cute and fitting for the aesthetic. And like they knew what they were doing. And it doesn't really feel fair to call it one of the worst films ever. It feels like it was written for, a 7 and 9-year-old by a 7 and 9-year-old, and I feel like it's fine along those lines.
I actually think you're giving it too much credit with the 7 and 9-year-old. I would say the 3 to 5-year-old. So, Jay, what do you think?
There's a kind of movie that's so bad that it's good, and that's what this is. I'm sorry. No one looked at this and said, "Oh, this looks great." The robot is a cardboard box. The polar bear is a man in a polar bear suit, and you can even see the folds in there. They couldn't even think of different names. The 2 alien children are called Bomar and Gurmar. The costumes, I think the creator of this just said, let's make a sci-fi holiday film. Let's just take, because at that point, Batman was riding high on TV, not to go back to Batman. And they thought, let's just make a campy, funny 60s, hooray for Santa Claus, funny movie. Ironically, they were very clever. This is the first time that Mrs. Claus is ever on screen. This is about a year before the Rankin and Bass cartoons. So this is the first time we meet Mrs. Claus. So I get the idea that the director and the producers just said, you know what, let's make an entry for Christmas. And here it is, Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
And I think you're right about the sci-fi thing, because again, you have to remember, this is at the end of the 50s, the golden era of sci-fi films
Right.
for some people.
Right.
So there's a lot of sci-fi going on. There was also a lot of space stuff going on. Alan Shepard was going on. John Glenn was circling the globe. The Russians were sending up Sputnik. Leica had gone up. I mean, there's just all there was a lot of reasons for it. And Jay, you were right. When this played, I went back and I read a little bit of what the New York Times said. there were just kids lined up around the corner going into this film. And so it made a lot of money versus some of these other dogs that we've been talking about, which didn't make a lot of money or lost money for the studios.
Right.
So anyways, folks, by all means, vote on our Survey Monkey. Which ones are the best? So let's do a quick recap here. Kara, what is the worst film of our three tonight?
Oh, this is really hard because Leonard Part 6 and Batman and Robin are both truly terrible. I'm going to have to go with Batman versus Robin purely because of I am convinced by Jay that like breaking Batman canon is a sin. That just I'm convinced. Yeah, Batman versus Robin gets my vote.
And Jay, you agree?
Leonard Part 6 and Batman and Robin are both equally terrible. They both tried to do product placement. They both were selfish, awful movies. But if we suddenly learned the I Spy canon, the I Spy story in Leonard Part 6, I wouldn't know which one. But I'm sorry, I agree completely with Caro. If you're going to break that legend, if you're going to break the mythology that people have spent 70 years, at this point, what was it, like 50 years, honoring, well, then you had no respect for the character. And even if you knew nothing of comic books, this started out as a Tim Burton brilliance, and Joel Schumacher just said, I know, let's make it stupid and show butts. I'm sorry, disrespect is always the thing that's going to make me say this is the worst movie.
Well, I'll tell you, I kind of lean towards Leonard Part 6 myself, and it's in my own weird way. Leonard Part 6 was one of the reasons that Columbia was in such bad financial shape because they lost so much money on it that they ended up selling to Sony. So Leonard Part 6 lost an American company to a Japanese company. So that to me kind of hurts us. Anyways, folks, please go to our Survey Monkey and vote. As we wind down here, I do want to tell you a little bit of what's happening at the Boston Science Fiction Film Festival. We will be having our festival virtually. It will be February 10th through the 15th, where you'll get to see films anytime as you want. The marathon will be happening. There will be festival passes, and we got a ton of films coming up. Tickets go on sale Friday for the marathon and the festival pass and some select festival films. And it's going to be an unusual collection because we're really expanding our realm of what we consider science fiction. There'll be a fair amount of documentaries. We'll also have some animation. We have one film called The Old Man Movie from Estonia. It's a claymation film that talk about bad monsters, sort of like from Santa Claus Conquers the Mind. It's about a mechanical cow and a real cow doing battle over which udder is better. It's out there. It's so out there. It's amazing. And we've got this other documentary that I'm really excited about screening. I think we have the U.S. premiere for. It's called Mr. Hand Solo. It's about a Spanish kid, I believe it's in Andorra, who was born with a defect in his arm, and it was just a stub. And he became famous by creating a Lego prosthetic and inspires lots of people because of what he did. So those are some of the things that are happening, and I hope people will go to www.bostonsci-fi.com and check us out and see what's going on. Also, follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And Jay, what are you working on right now besides your iChannel?
I've noticed the name that you put underneath me at one point was the one you gave me last time. I'm a horror historian. So one of the channel features is we interview horror film performers, science fiction writers. We basically have a whole fantasy section where we're talking about the macabre media. We also have a whole section on independent theater, independent film. We talk about literature, basically anything that is independent, anything that comes from the heart and soul, we're going to have on the channel. We start January 2021. Already we have about 100 different programs on there, and we're building it fast. So I hope you all tune in.
Jay, but what is Genesis TV?
Genesis TV. Oh, I'm glad you said that. Genesis Repertory Ensemble is a theatrical company and not-for-profit arts and education organization that I started back in 1999. And through this all, it has matured into different things. It was an umbrella for several schools for a while, for other theaters. And now finally we said, okay, this is the not-for-profit arm that's going to produce Channel I. So this way we can go into schools because we have the education certificate. We can talk about donations. We can talk about grants. We can do as much as we can with independent theater now. So Genesis TV is basically from Genesis Rep.
Cool. Very cool. And Carol, I know that you've got an event coming up, and
Yes, we do.
why don't you tell some folks about why they should spend some time virtually with you guys?
Absolutely. So January 16th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Please check out Boston Fig Fest. So we have a virtual festival. There will be 3 different sections. Our free play arena, which is where we're going to be hosting games on Discord. If you want to join a pickup game, that's a great way to do it. There's a live stream where we're going to be broadcasting on our Twitch and YouTube channels, and broadcasting both pre-recorded interviews with developers and tabletop designers, and also have a live show from the Boston Indies Bit Show. And then we have a virtual exhibition, which is a 2D RPG-like space where you can walk around as a little pixelated avatar and actually go meet people who are developing games, talk to them about what they're creating, see what they're doing, watch videos, and be able to actually even play demos. So check it out, bostonfig.com.
Well, I you know what? I am going to check it out because, first of all, meeting you and then meeting this, it sounds like a gas. So for those who don't know, on January 13th, we will be having our final round of this incredible classic cinema challenge, where we have Zardoz, Battlefield Earth, and today's winner battling out for the worst film ever in science fiction. And we will announce that during
I
the
cannot wait.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
It's going to be a tough competition. Yeah.
So folks, thank you very much for joining us. I really want to thank our 2 panelists, Carol Murphy from Boston Fig and Jay Michaels from Jay Michaels Entertainment and Channel I. Thank you very much, and we'll see you here on January 13th.
Thanks so much for having us.
You bet. Thanks.